Okay, in this lecture we're going to talk about the properties of real numbers, and this is why all our operations work. And so if I have the real numbers, alright, so given the real numbers, we're not specifying exactly what they are, so we just use something like A, B, and C. These just represent real numbers, okay? Right, so we have the first property, which is what we call a closure property, okay? And we really have two of them because we're talking about two operations, alright? We're talking about addition, and we're talking about multiplication. Alright, so if I have two numbers and I add them together, alright, I produce a real number. Alright, likewise, if I do A times B, this also produces a real number. This is called the closure property, so we don't get something strange happening. Add two real numbers, I get a real number. Multiply two real numbers, I get a real number. Right, secondly, we have what's called the commutative properties. And this says that it doesn't matter what order we do things, we get the same result. That is, if I add A plus B, that's exactly the same as B plus A. For example, 2 plus 3 is the same as 3 plus 2. Likewise, if I do the product, then it doesn't matter which order we multiply. 2 by 3 is the same as 3 by 2. So that's the commutative properties. We also have what's called the associative properties. This is where we have three of them. So if I have A and I'm multiplying by, or adding, let's do adding first, and I'm adding these three numbers together, then it doesn't matter whether I add the first two first and then the last one. This is exactly the same as adding the second two first and then second two first and then adding it to the first one. Likewise, for multiplication, it doesn't matter which order we multiply them in, we get the same result. Alright, we have next identity properties. Alright, now the identity properties says that there is a number. Alright, so in other words, there exists a number. Alright, and it's unique. In other words, there's only one of them. Okay. Alright, 0 such that A plus 0 is equal to the same as 0 plus A, of course, due to commutativity, but the result is A. And for multiplication, of course, it'll be the number 1. Okay, so there also exists a number which is unique. It's only one of them, and it's 1 such that A times 1 is the same as 1 times A, which of course produces A. Okay. Alright, next. Alright, we have what's called the inverse properties. Okay. That says this, that there exists a number, and of course it's a real number, again, which is unique. Alright, and let's call it negative A, such that A plus negative A is the same as negative A plus A, and it produces 0, the identity. Okay, and also there exists a number, and again it's unique. Alright, let's call it 1 on A, such that A times 1 on A is equal to 1 on A times A, which is equal to 1, which is the identity for multiplication. Alright, and then we finally have what's called the distributive properties, where we combine the two operations together, addition and multiplication. And we have that A by B plus C first is equal to AB plus AC. And of course we have A by B minus C is the same as AB minus AC. What we're doing is distributing the A with the B and the A with the C in both cases, and we just have a plus or minus correspondingly. Alright, so let's look at a couple examples. Okay, so let's simplify each of the following. Okay, part A, let's suppose that I have 5 plus 11 plus x. Okay, by the associative property, this would be 5 plus 11 first plus x, which would be 16 plus x. Right, part B, let's suppose we have 7/9 of 54b. Alright, this would be, alright, how would we go about doing this one? Well, of course, we could apply the distributive property because we've got three numbers, 7 on 9 and 54 on B. So let's do that first by B. Okay, and this, of course, we know that 9's going to 54 6 times, so this will be 7 by 6 by B, which will be 42b. Okay, C, let's suppose we have negative 20y over 7 on 5, say. Okay, right, so in this case, alright, of course we have commutativity, which of course would mean that we would have 7 on 5, okay, by negative 20y. Okay, now of course we have associativity. Do those first, and of course we know 5s into 20 go negative 4, so it'll be negative 4, which of course will be equal to negative 28y. Okay, so there's some examples of actually doing the using these properties. Let's suppose we have a look at another one here. What if I was to use the distributive property for this simplification? Alright, what if we have let's say 4 by x plus y. Okay, this would be, using the distributive property, it would be 4x plus 4y. Let's do the next one. Part 2, let's suppose we have a negative a subtract 2b. Then we have to distribute, of course, like this would be a negative 1 here by a subtract 2b. So distributing that would be a negative a, then a negative by a negative 2 is a positive 2b, and that would be the result there. And that's how we do the distributive property.